Welcome to The Authentic Me. The power of storytelling is what I believe. Every story is unique. Every story may hold the answers you seek. With special guests fortnightly so you can learn, apply their wisdom for your own life's turn. I am your host. My name is Mel Yu. Together, we might discover a new worldview. Zane Marshall was a former electrician who has gone on to create the highly successful contemporary streetwear brand Emperor Apparel. If you haven't heard of Emperor Apparel in the streetwear scene, have you been living under a rock? As it is one of the most iconic brands available in retail giants, Culture Kings, Urban Wear and Neverland stores Australia-wide. Growing up, Zane has always been a fashion fanatic and obsessed with the streetwear trends and movements. However, he struggled to find quality clothes that wouldn't shrink, change shape, and deteriorate after a few washes. He ended up having to shop in overseas stores to find the right apparel for him that simply wasn't available in Australia back in 2013. Here is where his entrepreneurial spark began, where he saw an opportunity to build not only a clothing brand, but a movement within the Melbourne streetwear scene. From this idea, and still working his 9-to-5, the side hustle journey began. After flicking through countless amounts of fabric sample booklets, creating samples, testing the durability of materials, Zane finally found a manufacturer that was reliable and can produce garments up to a high quality standard. He produced his first limited Emperor Apparel collection and released it in February 2014 purely online. In July 2014, Zane quit his full-time job to pursue Emperor Apparel completely. He was all or nothing. Years later, Emperor Apparel has a team of passionate staff working around the clock with distributors and has become a household name. Through seeing his work, I connected with Zane for Ego Expo, my own Australian Streetwear Expo, because I believed we had a shared vision on building a community and movement right here. Since then, we have become great friends. Zane has been one of our panel experts on wholesaling and understanding the retail market, and I am obsessed with this guy's mindset and hustle. He's relentless but compassionate to everyone he comes across, and is also now dating fellow social media influencer and Australian bachelor icon Steph Dixon. Life looks like it's going well for Zane, but I am excited to share with you guys just what it takes to live a life of your dreams. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please do me the honor of giving a warm welcome to my dear friend, a man who inspires me daily, Zane Marshall. Hey, mate.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited.
Oh, no, we just froze.
I think we just froze, but we'll just...
froze then. We're back.
We're back. We're back. Good. God, you and your Wi-Fi.
I know. It's so bad here. They're doing work at the moment on the internet at the front, somewhere in the pit. So I've got like bad NBN and bad mobile. So hopefully we can get through.
Perfect combination for a podcast.
Yeah, perfect.
Well, this podcast is called The Authentic Me, so we're all about authenticity. So if whatever happens, it'll happen. If you freeze, you freeze.
It's authentic. I love it.
Good. Zane, obviously we'll jump straight into it. How are things for you right now with the pandemic, and especially looking at the e-commerce industry as well as that retail industry? What's happening for you?
So obviously very crazy times at the moment with the pandemic going on. We've had to change a lot. We've had to change the structure of the company, the way we advertise, the way we produce has obviously significantly changed. Like the supply chain has been broken throughout the year. So we've had to really change our structure around that. Even the way we ship the products has changed a lot. Mindset has changed a lot. The way we deal with stress, the way we deal with adversity, all of those things, keeping people motivated. And it's not just the internal staff, it's everyone around us in terms of like logistics teams are freaking out. Manufacturers, obviously we were manufacturing in a range of different factories. The uncertainty in other countries at the moment, and then keeping them motivated as well, because they've obviously had their own lockdowns and their businesses have been significantly affected. So it's just about keeping everyone on board, keeping them motivated, and just double the hours, double the passion, double the energy to keep everybody on board. But like I was talking about this with a mate the other night, and we were saying with how challenging this year has been, like how much we've grown, like it's forced us to do so much work on ourselves. Like 100%. It's forced us to reassess everything in business, the way we do business. Like we were last year, all we were worried about was like, okay, we need to double sales. We need to do this. We need to do that. And like this year, it made us realize, you know how Gary Vee, right, was always saying, I'm warning you guys have never operated in a recession.
Yeah.
This generation has never operated with any adversity or anything that puts pressure on us. And if you can't make it now, you're stuffed. Like that hit me because I was like, shit. You know, there was a lot of, although we thought we had it all together, there was a lot of parts of the business that we had to really tighten up and make them more efficient. And, you know, where we were spending money, we had to pull back spend there. And, you know, yeah, it's just been crazy, but it's been an incredible learning experience, like for myself, for the team, and also for just working. Yeah, I can't even explain it. It's just, it's crazy.
Yeah, 100%.
But so much growth has come from that. Business improved significantly because we just improved all the processes, but we're still learning now. Like it's still changing daily, to be honest with you. So just rolling with, just taking it one step at a time, to be honest.
Well, that's all we really can do. Because I think exactly what you said with the Gary Vee thing, it's like this time now is really going to identify the entrepreneurs and the real entrepreneurs. You know, like you call yourself an entrepreneur on Instagram, whatever. But now more than ever, this is going to expose so much of who's actually a problem solver and who's actually willing to pivot their model and shift to keep that business running.
Yep. And it's also, which I'm really sort of happy about. It has shown both sides of business, right? Because entrepreneurship was like this big shiny thing that people would put in their bio. And already you could tell then like who was the entrepreneurs, like who was actually in business and who wasn't.
Yeah.
Because there was so many flexes on social media and on Instagram, showing their watches, showing their Ferraris. And I was saying to my team, like, where are they now? Where are they now?
They've gone quiet now.
They've gone damn quiet. Like, are they still in business? Do they still have access to their friend's Ferrari to flex with? No, they don't. Like, it's really, there's a saying that Warren Buffett, the investor, says. He's like, it's times like these where when the tide goes out, you can see who's been, I forget the saying, but it's like, you can see who's been swimming without their pants on or whatever, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's true. Like, it has really exposed the true entrepreneurs. It's really exposed who is serious about business, the problem solvers, who really has your back and who doesn't. Like the thing I'm the most grateful for at the moment is I realized like the people who financed the business, how loyal they were, like how we all worked together, the logistics team, like the way we had to say to retailers, don't worry, don't pay us yet. Like, just don't panic. Just make sure you're sorted first and make sure that we're all working together to make sure we come out the other side.
Yeah. Well, what I'm hearing from you, which that just really resonates with me, is you're not even really talking about business. You're talking about relationships. You're actually like right now more than ever, right? We need to focus on our relationships and nurture that relational capital because everyone's struggling. There is a level of stress on the world. So how can we strengthen our team first and foremost? How can you be a leader and motivate people continuously when there is so much fear? And then exactly doing the right thing and going to your retailers, hold up, we got you, we understand. That's a people to people thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important because you need those relationships at the other side of this. And if we all thrash each other right now and pound each other into the ground because everyone's so stressed, which is what everyone did on that first week, wasn't March when we all started to get locked down. Like phones were off the hook. Yeah. Everyone was panicking. And I was saying to I remember I was sitting with my girlfriend, Steph, and I was like, shit, this is bad. Because I am seeing like guys that run huge investment banks that were slick, that through no matter what happened, they always had the answers. I called them and they were like, we don't know what's happening. Like, just call us back tomorrow. We don't know what's happening. We'll get back to you. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that. Like, we don't know what's going on yet. And when I saw them panic, I was like, oh shit, like this is bad. Yeah. Like we're in for it here. And they were speaking to economists and they didn't have any answers. So it was just about like maintaining the relationships and making sure that everyone was going to make it out the other side, because there was like retailers that first week that were calling me and they're like, we're shutting doors, we're done. And I was like, you can't be done. Like, this is temporary. You've got to just get your shit together, because don't just put your arms up now. Like, negotiate with your landlords, negotiate with the people that you're borrowing money from. Don't just stop. Stopping's not an option at the moment. Like, you've got overheads, you've got staff to pay. You've built this brand. Some of them have been in retail for like 20 years and they were literally ready to just throw in the towel. Yeah. Because there was so much pressure from landlords. There was so much pressure from like the big retail shopping centers to just 100%. Pay your money. You're 40 grand still here. And like, they were devastated. It was really tough to see.
Yeah, no, it is 100% agree. Times are changing. There's a new normal on its way. But like what you're doing, those real entrepreneurs are really going to shine. Where I want to take this next question is actually going back then, because the Zane Marshall that we know is incredibly successful, incredibly driven, but I don't believe that it was always that case. And you can correct me if I'm wrong. I would love to know if you can share with the audience, who are you in terms of like, what was family life like for you? Were you always just going to be an entrepreneur? Were you always this driven? What was that upbringing like for you to get you to where you are now?
Yeah. So I've spoken about this in like a few interviews and podcasts. I think I was always destined to be an entrepreneur and work for myself, but I didn't know in what capacity or what I was going to do. So like a lot of my mates that run like big companies now, they were hustling from when they were really young, like literally cleaning cars in grade 4 and grade 5 because they love that cash. Yeah. And I wasn't really like that. I was, to be honest with you, I was very lost in life in terms of where I wanted to go until I was about 26.
I love that.
I really was. And do you know what? I'm still finding my feet. Like, I've always gone through this life, and it's really funny because I feel like, you know, when they say your spirit chooses a destiny for each life, I feel like in comparison to the people I hang around with, I'm still very young. Yep. Like, I don't really know. I've never really been 100% specific on where I want to go. I love music. I love sport. I love surfing. I want to be a Hollywood actor at some stage in my life. I love entrepreneurship. I like business. I want to be involved in tech. I want to be involved in production of movies. Like, I'm still like that. Yeah. And like, my parents just always described me as like a hypo that couldn't really make up their mind. So I want to make that really clear to people. I don't think you always necessarily need to have
one thing.
Like one thing. Don't have one thing. Like, when I was living in Sydney, the people I met, like the really incredibly what I define as successful, they always said to me, you should never be so busy that you don't have time to focus on other things, other interests, other ventures, other hobbies. They're like, this whole hustle thing of being too busy, they're like, it just cuts you out of so many different opportunities. And when you look at like Jeff Bezos, all of those entrepreneurs, like, yeah, he's got Amazon, but he's buying everything under the sun.
100%.
Like, you know, like across so many different niches and so many different genres of business, he's across it all. But yeah, going back, I was a really weird kid. I hated school, hated being told what to do. I hated the fact that we had to sit in school from 9 till 3:30. Like, I just wanted to be out experiencing life and surfing and wakeboarding. And but my mum always gave me this amazing advice. She was like, life's like a game. And she's like, there'll be parts of the game you don't like, but it's all about being strategic. And so she's like, it's about, you won't like all elements, but try and be as good as each different element of that game as possible and play life like a game. And I still think of it like that. And I just try and, I don't know, I'm still very much like never 100% on what I want to do, but I want to do bits of everything.
But I think that is a true entrepreneur when you say it, and it sounds, you know, you're not a businessman, you're an entrepreneur. And the difference, I think, with that is an entrepreneur looks for ideas and to problem solve, and you're not just stuck on the one thing. You can have that flow and flexibility to move and ebb and flow. Like what we said, you're not hard and fast one thing. We're not in life. And it's okay to, okay, Emperor Apparel might be what you're known for in a lot of sense. But then it's like you've got so many facets of who Zane is, I'm sure, and have so many interests of that. And don't be afraid to taste those things too.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I love so much about Emperor, right? Because in fashion, it connects you with so many amazing, influential people and so many interesting people. So like through Emperor Apparel, I've met all of the DJs that we sponsor and that I talk with daily about what they're doing. And we just all get so hyped. Like, I've just dropped this new track. Well, they were touring before all of this happened. And, you know, we talk about, you know, all of the places they're touring. And then obviously through the brand, I met all of the crazy guys from Geordie Shore who I still talk to daily, and they motivate me because they're all buying properties and everything. Like, it puts you in contact with so many different people across like a range of different categories and careers. So that's what I love about fashion. It puts you in touch with sports, music, actors, reality TV people, other entrepreneurs, like put me in touch with people in real estate, put me in touch with like amazing people from investment banks. That the shit those guys do is just incredible. And like the amount of work they take on and like the projects they do, like I'd be like, oh shit, I've got to invest like this amount of money in this next range. Like I'm getting risky. And they're like, yeah, well, we just put like $60 million on, you know, an apartment complex. And I'm like, okay, cool.
But the difference is I believe your brand, well, it's a lot of your independent income. It's your funding. It's not, when you say 60 million, it's not just theirs, right? You up front, I assume, correct me if I'm wrong, you put up that capital. That was your money.
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's how I was able to keep so much control of the business, like creative direction, exactly where it was going, what retailers we stocked. Obviously, as you grow, those deposits and that money becomes too much for you to put up, and it actually affects cash flow. So I'd work with other partners like investment banks. They would fund certain ranges, and for a small bit of interest, because it was only ever over a short amount of time. So my thing was, if you borrow money, 90 days, bang, it's straight back, you take the profit, go into the next one.
100%.
And that was how I was able to scale quickly, because I never had any investors to pay back. I didn't have to waste time putting things to a board at the early stages. Like the early stages of building a brand, you don't want to have to waste so much time putting everything through a board and then calling the investors and putting these presentations together. Like by then I've done 6 ranges and other people I know that have done that have made one big range. But by then you're just constantly scaling, you're constantly running. And what I would literally be like, okay, I'm calling the buyer of Nordstrom. I'm going to put it in Nordstrom. Okay, call the buyer. Whereas there was so many decisions that I saw other friends with other companies have to go through, and like all these roadblocks because of investors and boards. And
well, you don't have full 100% direction. And that's what I love about the startup space, because when you're in startup world, you have that flexibility because you're small time, in a sense that you don't have systems and structure that, you know, you're in control of that time, and you can go and knock on as many doors and give as many phone calls, and you don't have people to report to, you know, people have meetings for the sake of having a meeting. And then by the end of it, you write minutes that no one ever looks at. So like,
it's so true. There's so much time wasted. And that was the hardest thing for me as I scaled, was dealing with exactly that. Because as you scale, more and more people come in.
There's more voices.
There's more voices. There's more overheads. There's much more responsibility. And all of those different people that come in, you do need to report to them. You do need to give them updates. Like, and there's all these different structures that come in. Like, you do have to become a lot more structured. You can't be as different with your decisions.
Correct.
And like, you do have to then set your business up with a corporate structure. You do need a lawyer. You do need a proper accountant. You are constantly dealing with, you're working like as I suppose, I hate the word CEO. I hate it because so many people use it. But as the director or the officer of a company, your job is really to make those good executive decisions, and you're working with your lawyer and your accountant, whereas you're used to working with the buyers and doing all the fun stuff.
But I think as you grow and move up that chain ladder, it doesn't become so much you being in the business of that fun stuff. You actually have to people manage, and you have to
Yes.
delegate. If you want to scale, my biggest lesson was delegation. You cannot
Yes.
be everywhere at every time, because it's simply not possible. You're the
Yep.
ideas guy, you're the visionary, and then other people need to implement that and execute that for you. You have to be able to people manage and delegate.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's like one thing I wish I had done earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Like in the first 2 years, I had a lot of difficulty delegating tasks, and I thought that like, you know, do what you can. If you've got the skills to do it, but it holds you back so much, and it stops you scaling, and you won't grow as quickly, and you're better off bringing on more people and training them up to be excellent at what they do. And it's going to be much more efficient. Like your company will be much more efficient.
100%. I love it. I love what you're giving right now in terms of the actual, like, it's a monumental, huge operation actually, when you start getting into like that level. So let's go back to small time Zane.
Yeah.
Little Zane. Just, I know I have a lot of listeners. There's a lot of the Ego Expo community, I have no doubt, that will listen to this podcast, and they want to start a brand. So let's go back to for some of people, this is going to be like, I can't relate to anything Zane's saying right now, because far out, that's massive, right? But the reminder that you didn't start there. You were a one-man show. You actually worked a 9 to 5. You were an electrician. So what key advice do you have for someone that does want to start a streetwear brand, a millennial that is listening to this right now? Honestly, what can you tell them when startups, zero cash flow, zero understanding of business, kind of take it back to where you were young, Zane. What kind of advice can you send back now to those sort of people wanting to make a start?
Okay, so my first bit of advice is do the 9 to 5 and the side hustle for as long as you possibly can. Don't dive in to making your business full time before it's got enough cash behind it, enough cash flow behind it, because you want to, the ideal situation is to stay in your 9 to 5 as long as possible, because that is always going to fund your business, and you don't want to use your company's cash flow to live on in the early stages. A lot of people go in too early, and I was talking to a mate in Queensland about this, but you don't want to pull money out of your business. You want to use that side hustle, and it's hard. It's hard because if you're in a demanding job, like I was working 7 till 5 in the city, I'd catch the train home, and then I'd do it from maybe 7 o'clock till 1 a.m., 2 a.m., and then I'd get up at 5 a.m. the next day. But that money was the reason I was able to advertise Emperor to build it. The money from that electrical job was the reason I was able to get stock. Like it wasn't, back then I was obviously doing, to give the new guys an example, 100 of each color in 100 t-shirts per color, per style. So when you're starting out, you want to have that money from your other job to pay for that. You don't want to use the cash flow from your previous range to buy that new stuff when you're starting out. So stay in that 9 to 5 as long as possible, and use that money to feed your business. Use that money
100%.
to pour it all in. So your business has, it can breathe. Because people, when you go too early and you're relying on your cash flow to fund the growth, you're constantly sucking the air out of your business. Yeah. So, and that's just so for the guys listening, that's from guys that have run really big companies as well, that are way bigger than me. They were cleaning apartments while their businesses were doing 2 to 3 million a year.
Yeah.
Just so that,
I think it's really important to understand, like, put your ego aside. Everyone wants to jump ship and go, now I work for myself and it's great. It's not that great when then 6 months later you got to go back to that job because you miscalculated everything and you couldn't breathe. The business, like, I love that analogy that you're saying, allow it to breathe. Literally, it is a human, like lungs. You need it to breathe for it to work. Otherwise, it will just die.
Yeah, and it will die quick. Like in the early stages, business is damn brutal. Like, I want people to understand that. Like, it's really brutal. There's a lot of people, like I always used to say, a lot of people see like the glamorous side. They would see me like cruising around in sick cars and living in Sydney, and when I was in Melbourne, like they see all this cool shit, but it really, it kind of, I don't want to put people off it, but if you're starting out, like be prepared. It is like a war. Like you're going in, you're fighting every day. You can't become complacent because there's always some younger person or there's always another heavily funded business that's ready to just chop your legs off. Exactly. And Paul and I were talking about that at Ego, and he still says that shit to me. Yeah. Like he goes, there's always someone coming up that's ready to just chop your legs off. Yeah. And it's true. I'm not going to lie about that. Like you can't become complacent. So going back, only produce, like don't put yourself under pressure with what you can produce. Like, and me and Elijah still talk about this from, like, he tells his AS Colour guys. Like,
so Elijah, for those, is the national sales manager at AS Colour, who sell blank tees, and they're freaking killing it, AS Colour. So for those who don't know.
Yeah, they're blitzing it, and I'm still jealous. And Elijah, I'm still going to whoop your ass. But you always want to produce enough that you can sell it out. You don't want to have inventory lying around, so don't over order. Like be realistic with what you can sell through, because you don't want to have stock sitting there that you're spending advertising money on just to move, because you're blowing your profits every time you've got that stock sitting there. So if you're starting out, only produce what you can sell so that you're selling through it quickly. You're making your profit, bang, straight into the next range. You're selling it all out. You're making a profit, because a lot of businesses get stuck. They're blowing valuable advertising money on just moving that stock that's sitting there because they don't have the customer base big enough to buy it.
Correct.
So that's a massive one. And that's where I see a lot of people trip over. And look, we did that on ranges like late into the game, where I was like, you know, we probably over ordered. But the thing is, I always had retailers or I had an online audience to sell to. But even then I was like, damn, we had to advertise that a little bit harder than normal. So we just took a little step back just to keep it safe and keep the business breathing. So that's a big one. Just when you're starting out, don't put yourself under too much pressure with too much inventory.
And I think be realistic. So same thing, Ego Expo was all about startups and independent brands coming through, right? But people were just so like almost so optimistic that they were like, yes, I'm going to bring 1,000 t-shirts. I was like, mate, why are you bringing 1,000? Ain't nobody know your brand. Like, be realistic as well. Grow that community, like what you do. Grow, make it a movement so that people want it every time, instead of just because your website goes live as a startup doesn't mean sales are going to come flooding in.
No, definitely not. Most certainly not. And look, the other thing I want to make really clear is, as well, is when you're building that audience for your business, you need to be really, really specific with, so if you're building it through advertising like I did, because to be honest with you, there's a lot of people that are like, oh, I want to build a brand. I want it to have 300,000 followers. I was like, I want to build a brand that sells so I can make money. Yeah. Like, because with money you can expand it. So we were really, really careful with the targeting, and people used to say, oh man, EA sells so much for a brand that only has like 18,000 on Instagram. And I was like, yeah, because those 18,000 people love the brand. So when we post about it, they buy it. They're interested in it. That 60,000 on Facebook are 60,000 people that we sell to regularly. Like we have, I don't even know where to start. I have so much I want to talk about, but it's really important to build that audience that is interested in your brand. There's so many brands I know that have 1 million followers and they can't move 300 products.
Agreed.
Because they've just got a whole bunch of people watching what they're doing, but they can't move that. I've seen people move shipping containers of the next water bottle and they can't move 2 units out of that shipping container because they get fooled into thinking that audience is going to buy. They get fooled into thinking, oh, I've got 200,000 followers, but they don't have 200,000 people that are ready to buy. They have a bunch of people watching them. Yeah. So it's really important when you're building the brand from the start, make sure you're advertising towards your true demographic. Like, be realistic and spend time working out who is your audience, who is your buyer, what do they do, what does it look like, what are their interests? Do they go, because a lot of people go, all right, I'm going to start a clothing brand. My audience loves music festivals. They love Future. They love Ultra. They love this and that, you know, and they're going to this huge audience. And then you've got like me and Culture Kings and and Universal Store, and we're all hitting that audience with a budget that is 6-7 times bigger than yours. So you miss out and you cut yourself out of that game. So be realistically with what you can pick out from the thing now, because the cost of acquisition, just to let people know, it's gone up. And as e-commerce has become more popular, the cost to acquire a customer has doubled and tripled in some cases. It's really flooded now and it's really competitive. But it is great because there's huge opportunities in e-commerce. But now you've got to really look at, you need to be able to build an organic audience as well. It can't just be all paid anymore. So what we used to call, and everyone calls it this, like online marketing, there's paid advertising, right? Just like the cocaine of advertising. They call it that because it gets you results instantly, but you have to pay for it. Once that budget runs out, there it goes. So when you're building an audience early on, make sure you've got a really specific target audience that you're building organically as well, that will buy without you having to pay for everything.
Yeah, 100%. That's really, really good advice, in the sense as well that you have to have the organic part is like necessary as well as the paid. It complements both. And then when that budget does run out, you don't just suddenly lose sales because you're not out there. Those customers that are loyal and organic are going to follow you through and through, because you've obviously read Bobby Hundreds, not another t-shirt brand. It's just like that. It's building the culture around it. You can't just have paid marketing all the way when there's no story to tell. People buy into the stories. People bought into Emperor Apparel at the start because of Zane, because you had a story to tell.
Yep, and that's like Bobby. So Bobby, like the Hundreds is merch to their movement. And he's always said that. He's like, you know, the Hundreds is a movement, and the merch is for all the people that celebrate and want to be a part of that movement. And he said that when I met him. And it's incredible. Like you've got a guy that started doing graphic teasers. I think it's $125 million business now.
Yeah, it's huge.
The Hundreds, I think, or I might be wrong, but yeah, it's marketing and your brand now. And I've spoken about this with big retail brands, and designs and stuff are almost commoditized now. So I want to make it really clear what people going into the fashion industry are dealing with. So you're going against like rappers, really, really highly followed rappers that are dropping their own merch now. And they can move that merch because they've got their own story. They've got their, you know what I mean? And I think now going forward in 2020 onwards, the thing that will sell your product and build your brand is the story behind it. They say the richest people in the world are storytellers. And if you don't have something attached to your brand other than just the designs, it's really hard to get that organic following or get people excited and get them to feel like they're part of it. Exactly.
And do they believe in it? Because if you're not putting out any purpose or vision behind it, what can they believe? It's just unfortunately, it's just a t-shirt with a logo on it. And it's cutthroat. It's such a cutthroat industry. You know, how many startups doing? I think there's, I don't even know the number. I'm just going to pull out a statistic, but I feel like it's like 85% of t-shirt brands fail within the first 6 months.
Yeah,
or more, 95%. Like,
you need to know you're entering what they call a red pool market. Blood everywhere. Everyone, it's huge. It's the most competitive market out of any industry other than insurance. So there's just everyone battling for the same attention, everyone battling for the same audience, in amongst not thousands, like millions of brands. And then on top of that, now you've got every rapper going, oh man, I might start my own label.
Yeah.
And then they've got like 4 to 5 million followers. They can literally put out a post that night, get 400,000 people across to their brand, sell out $1.25 million worth of product that night. That's what it is. Like, that's the reality of fashion now. And I'm not saying there's not a lot of opportunities, but like, just beware of that. Like, I wish I had have known some of these things before going into the industry as well. Like, because that creates your story, and that defines what strategy you take and how you build your brand, because you are going to be competing against that. So it's like, how do I take away the attention from A$AP Rocky's collab with Lone and get people to buy Emperor? How do I get people to buy Emperor when DaBaby's just dropped a new line and I literally saw him sell this amount of product? So now there's this amount of people that have spent their money, how are we going to get them to spend again with Emperor? How do we get, you know, because there's a lot of money going around, but if people are spending it all in these different locations and under different brands, how are you going to capture that attention? How are you going to bring people to your brand? But there's a lot more, there's a lot more that goes into it than just making an ad, making a brand, paying to sell it, and then moving product. It's very complex now.
Yeah.
So and then COVID has made it a little bit more complex on top of that.
Exactly. But I think starting off with what that story is and really understanding why are you actually starting this brand. If it's starting a brand to make money, I guarantee you will have no longevity in it. If it's just like, I just want to fucking make heaps of money, but there's no actual story or authenticity behind it, you won't win.
And like your why you want to do it. Why? Because that defines like how you get out of bed in the hard times, how you compete and how much grit you develop when there is so much competition. Why are you doing it? What do you want to achieve? What made you start that brand? You know, for me, it was always like, I'm sick of the fast fashion crap quality. And it was just really driving that quality. And it always will be that, like driving quality for an affordable price. And there still is so much poor quality items being distributed through the fashion industry, and they're ruining it for people doing a good job and wanting quality. So that was, for me, it's like, why are we doing it? Because we want to put quality. We don't want people wearing clothes that are sprayed with chemicals that kill them. We want people, we don't want to manufacture in factories where there's child labor just so we can allow people to buy a t-shirt for $34. So it was about being ethical in it still is always about being ethical in the industry, keeping quality high, and being innovative with the designs, being different, being unique.
And that, I think you just saying that means that you identified your niche and you were not going to be for everyone. You didn't create Emperor Apparel so that every single Tom, Dick and Harry are walking around with Emperor Apparel. You knew your market, so it wasn't ever going to be a $30 tee that you received. That's not the product. That's not who you're against. You're against a whole nother field, but you had to identify who is it that wants to wear EA.
Totally.
Really
important. And then it was constantly like when I was hustling getting retail stores, it was like, okay, well, your stuff's $69.95. We can get blah, blah, blah for $49, and our customers buy $49. And it's like, your store makes no money at the moment. Your store makes no money because you're selling the same brands as other people, and you're selling a t-shirt for $49.95 that no one is proud to wear. Yeah, you've got a few people coming through and they'll buy this, and but they're not excited about it. Like, whereas guys buy Emperor Apparel because they're buying a premium product, and when they go out to their best event, they wear it.
Feel good.
They feel like a boss.
They
put it on that fabric. It makes them feel amazing. The fit is perfectly tapered to their body. It's like, it makes them feel good. It's more than just a t-shirt. It's like the experience of like wearing it. And I know that sounds so lame, but it's just what it is. It's like the same reason people buy Gucci and Louis Vuitton. Like, you open that wallet and you're like, man, this is sick.
Because technically, I mean, it could be like, it's a brand, right? It's just a logo, but it isn't. It's what people attach that meaning to when they wear it. What we'll go into Culture Kings in a second. That's my next question. But what ties in really well is, like, for example, people that know the Culture Kings store, you're going in for an experience. There is a reason why Culture Kings was able to create what it did, because you go in, there's lights, there's music, there's a basketball court, there's, everyone is hyped in there. The staff are trained to compliment you. You're going in and you feel like a boss. So you're encouraged to spend more. This is all actually, designed. It's structured to make you feel a certain way. And fashion does the same for us. We don't wear things because we want to feel ugly in them. We want to wear things with pride. Just
straight up. It's about how it makes you feel. Everything is all in the experience. And I always wanted that luxe experience of, like, when you put on a Gucci t-shirt, or I wanted people to feel the same way, but I don't agree with paying $400 for a t-shirt. It's not ethical. It's not right. And I don't think it's spreading the right message to people. And I don't think it's right to charge that much money. It just has never sat well with me that Yeah. So I wanted people to be able to have that quality, but not have to pay a crazy amount. But that was the thing when we were pushing it to retailers. They were like, oh, well, our price point's $49. It's like, okay, cool. We're not going to push it upon you. That's not our demographic. If that's the demographic that comes in your store, we're not right for you, and we don't want to put it in there because it damages our brand then. So we were never like pandering to retail stores, because we're like, you've got to be realistic. If they've got people going in and their customers want to pay $39 or $49 for a t-shirt, we're not putting our stuff in there. It doesn't work. It's not going to work. There's no
brand alignment there and value alignment.
No. So I was always like, we'll do it ourselves. We'll push it online. We'll sell it online, and then we'll only put it in premium stores or stores that align with the brand, and just continue to do that.
So the next thing that I kind of want to touch on is, how did you get into a retail giant like Culture Kings? A lot of startups, a lot of medium businesses, I guess that's their dream goal, right? To be in Culture Kings.
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience. What was the actual work and hustle done to get it? Because it's not easy. They get presented with, as you know, brands every day. I want to be in Culture Kings. Here's my sample. So I want my audience right now to hear just how freaking hard it took for you to actually get that meeting and to make it happen.
Yeah, relentless. Absolutely relentless persistence. If you speak to the owner of Culture Kings now, he still says it every day. You're the most persistent guy I've ever come across. Like, no joke, the last Culture Kings party, he's like, he even said to me, are you paying my buyers or whatever? Because I was just so persistent. And I want to make it clear, like, to get anywhere now in any business, you need like relentless persistence. You need to be persistent. Everything is about follow-up. Everything is about like dropping your ego. Like, I was like, I'm making myself look like, my dad was like, Zane, this is not how you do business. And I was like, you don't understand who I'm approaching. You don't understand how busy he is. You don't understand how every second, how much work he's doing. If I don't constantly remind him, hey, it's Zane from Emperor, what's going on? Is now a good time? No. Is now a good time? There was one point, honestly, there was the night, I remember this day so clearly. I remember I was living in Sydney, I was in Bondi. He goes to me, all right, come in tomorrow at 2:00 in Queensland. And I was like, okay, cool. So before that, I'd called him for 2 years. Twice, 3 times a month. No, we're not ready. No, we're not ready. We've already got enough brands. We've already got this, that. Yep, your brand's dope, but we've already got a bunch of dope brands. Okay, cool, no worries. Just every month or so, hey, what's going on, Zane? What's going on, Zane? Oh, we've got this new range. It's fucking dope. We've sold this amount. Okay, cool. Yep, I like it, but we're not ready yet. We're not ready yet. Then I had a meeting in their boardroom. So it was just me that went there. I just flew up, put everything in a suitcase, walked in, sitting there in front of a board of like my heroes, basically, like, and people that were just on the forefront of fashion, the best marketers, buyers that had seen the best products and are not, it's sort of like, I don't want to say unfazed, but they're used to seeing so much good stuff that I was like, I have to really make an impression here, and it was the story that sold it. They could see that I was passionate, because they can see, like, they can have A$AP Rocky rock up with a cheap t-shirt with a logo and it will sell. But it was that story. I'm telling you, it was, they could see my passion. They could see that I lived and breathed it. They could see that I was about being innovative, which aligned with their brand. So it wasn't just about doing a printed t-shirt. It was about keeping that premium edge that they've got. So that vibe, they don't want to sell crap in there. Your products have to be amazing. If you want to be in Culture Kings, if you want to be in the Iconic, your products have to be high quality. They have to be different. They have to be unique, and they have to have some edge to them. And for me and for Emperor, it's the rose gold zips. It was the premium material. It was the cuts. Football players loved them. Bodybuilders loved them. People that go to and shop in Culture Kings, they'll literally go from Louis Vuitton in the city to Culture Kings, because it's that same level of premium. So your brand has to align with that.
Yeah, and what you're saying there as well, it's what is your brand or business's USP. What is your unique selling proposition? Because they're like, exactly, how are you different? People come and go, they see so much of it. How the hell are you different? And why do you, of all people, deserve to be in there? If you think you're good enough, prove that you're good enough. 2 years of phone calls, I don't think that many people will, they might say, yeah, I'm going to do it, I'm ready to hustle. I don't think people actually will do that work.
No, they won't. And it's that as well. How much do you want it? He got to a point where he's like, Jesus Christ, man, like this guy wants it. Like he wants to be in here. Like if this guy will call me once a month, every month for 2 years, like he's going to deliver. Like we don't have to worry about him delivering on product. And the other thing I want to make really clear is when you stock a store like that and they put in an order, you have to have the money to produce that stock.
Yeah.
So you have to be, and your supply chain has to be accurate. Your supply chain has to be able to produce that quantity of product on time, or you're letting a lot of people down. So when you go into a company like that, the reason it takes so long is because they've got to find a spot for you in their budget at the right time. You're becoming like a cog in the system. It's not a one-off. They say, we can see this brand in the store long term, and then it's then calculated into their revenue structure. So you become a cog in the system and you can't fuck up. Like you can't be late. You can't be 2 months late because you're like, oh, sorry, we're small. Oh, we're just starting up. You know, it's no, we need that stock in. You need to have the money to do it. You need to have a reliable supply chain that can produce it. And you need to be able to deliver on time, every time, season after season. And you need to be able to produce all of your samples, produce your catalogs, and present to them when they're ready to pre-purchase. So you're not just going in and going, hey, I got this range, man, do you want to buy it? And they go, yeah. It's like everything is pre-bought 12 months in advance. So you've got to have designs that are pre-sold 12 months in advance, and they've still got to be dope in 12 months time when the product finally gets in store. So it's a big process.
Keeping up with not even just keeping up with the trend, being ahead of market trends, having that visionary to know what's coming, what color palettes are going to work, what are people going to buy it, because that's what fast fashion, right? It's just like so quick. Consumers right now have so much choice, but it's keeping ahead of that game so that people are buying not for that season. It's 2-3 seasons ahead.
Yeah, that's it. And you've got to make sure that exactly your color palettes are going to be on point. Your designs are still going to be on point, and think far ahead and see. You're sort of always doing your market research all the time. What's going on in the UK? What's going on in the US? When will that transfer to Australia? Will it transfer to Australia? Will guys when I started making spray on jeans, some stores were like, nah, man, nah. And I was like,
too wild.
Trust me, it's coming. It's coming. And when it comes, we're going to be selling them online. And we made spray on jeans. They pumped it. And all the retailers were like, damn it. But you've got to be able to back yourself, but you've got to be able to forecast those trends. And so just in short, I always ramble on, but you've got to be really persistent. You've got to back yourself. You've got to have quality product, and you've got to be prepared to really put in the work and follow up relentlessly to get into a store like that, of that scale. I love that. And I think what you're really highlighting is that hustle, and it is that work. You already, this interview, the energy that you show up with, the relentlessness that you show up with, the passion that you show up with, you got to keep going with that. It's just never ending. When I listen to you and I hear you and I'm like, okay, this guy's a hustler, he's achieved XYZ, where do you see this is more going to personal life? Was there room for a relationship? Because you're in a relationship now and you're incredibly successful in business. How do people manage that? Or do you have to sacrifice one when you're early on in that grind? Or is it just finding the right partner that understands where you're at? Yes, you need. So that's so important. You need to find someone that understands it, because going into business for yourself, it is quite selfish, right? Like you're doing it, you're living your dream and you're putting all of this work into a business, right? And your headspace, right? It's very, very it was hard for me to balance that, right? Because you're never really present. You can be watching TV, but your brain's going, all right, I need to do this, I need to do that. Tomorrow I got to do this. Hey, babe, do you want to go to the cafe? Oh, yeah, blah, 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 babe. And you're like, what? Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, let's go to the cafe. You know, you've got to have someone that understands that. Yeah. Early on, I was in a relationship, and it was a hard balance, especially as it got busier and busier and it required more time, and you've only got so much bandwidth in your brain. So when you're utilizing that all the time, it is hard to find that balance between your work time and then your relationship time and then your friendship time. And so you have to have someone that understands that. Luckily for me, like, Steph understands that, but she also understands, like, she's the only person other than my immediate family that's ever properly understood me, like the way I operate, like what I want, like certain things I do. I don't mean to be like not present or whatever. She understands that, that drive, and that you're not always 100% present, and you know, and understands that there is that balance. But I've learned a lot from how to balance that and how important it is as well, because all business and nothing else, I'm telling you, it's shit. Like, it's shit. Like, and I've been in an incredibly dark place when I had everyone telling me I was a fucking rock star and, everything you're doing is amazing, this and that, at like the peak. And I didn't have anything else around. You know what I mean? Like, I was just sort of like, I remember, I always tell people this story. And I remember I was in Bronte Beach, had this apartment, living in Sydney. Everyone, like, we had all these deals popping. It was cranking online. But I didn't have any real friends around me. I just had people that were just like sort of hanging on. And they were just always around for the experience and this and that. And I remember we just locked down this amazing deal and things were going well. And I had this like luxury car company that was like, basically like, dude, drive this car around Bondi. We want you to be seen in it. And when people ask you where it's from, tell them where. I remember sitting in there in this Ferrari, and I was like, fucking hell, I'm so depressed. I was like, man, I have no balance. All I'm doing is working. And what am I working for? Like, I don't have my real friends around me. I'm in this like foreign place. Like, all I do is work. I didn't really feel like I had people close to me. Had like a relationship breakdown because it was all I was doing, and we didn't really align and didn't understand each other. And it was then I was like, shit, all that time people told me like, you know, you're going to hit a point, you're on a trajectory where you're going to hit a point and you're going to realize like that's not all that matters in life. And that's like, you're going to need more.
And I really, really love that. I really love that, Zane, because I think it's so important, people realizing it isn't just business. The top's not that great when you're alone, you know? 100%.
Yeah, it's not. But that's why I just want to be 100% real, because at that time, like, everything looked fucking rosy. Like, everything looked perfect. Like, he does what he wants to go over. You're spending time in America, then you're coming back, and then you're doing this and that. But when your mindset's not right, and when you don't have any other balance, and you're not really doing things that make you happy, and you're taking on all of this stress, and all you're doing is managing people and managing this business, and you've got so many people like that require your energy. If you don't have like those strong relationships, and you're not investing in those friendships, and you know, you don't have quality people around you that support you, it's not that good.
It's a dark road. It's bleak. It's not fulfilling. How important is it now that you structure that quality time with your family and friends, and can you switch off, like, or is it just accepting that Zane doesn't switch off, and if I need to take a call, I need to take a call because this is my business? Or do you kind of go, when it's me and Steph time, when it's me and my intimate partner time, the phone is off? What's your routine there?
It's that now. So like, we have time where it's like, nah, you just switch your phone off. Like, it's just you spend time together, you sit on the couch, you talk about your day, you hang out. You know, your Sundays are free.
Yeah.
You hang out together, you go and get coffee, you walk down the beach, you chill on the beach and you talk. And I'm getting much better about being present. So when I'm here, this is me. I don't care about what's going on in the social media thing.
Yeah.
And look, other people will say, oh, you're a dickhead for doing that. But I'm like, I know where I'm at. I know how I perform.
Yeah.
I'm better off when you go, this is my work time. I'm going to absolutely thrash it. Because a lot of people go, oh, I'm working 16 hours a day. But they're not working 16 hours a day. It's like, they're working 3. And then they're scrolling Instagram going, this is market research. No, it's curving on chicks, getting caught in the vortex. So I like structure my time. It's all about time. The biggest, like my mentors are always like, it's how you value and use your time. Work time is work time. Then your off time is off. I know multi-millionaires that party harder than anyone. Like, but that's their off time.
Yeah.
It makes them more efficient when they're on, you know. It's important to have that balance because it allows your brain to recover.
Yeah, I was going to say the next thing is burnout rate, right? Or the suicide rates in the entrepreneurial world. This is real stuff. It's real when it gets that bleak because you haven't done any self-care. You haven't actually separated anything and you've just become so involved in this tunnel of money and success that you burn out. So I think you highlighting that off time is absolutely essential. When it's go time, yes, hustle, do your thing, work really hard. But then when it comes to the relationship, then it's like, well, babe, you're my priority. This is my priority now.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, because Steph understands me so much and supports me so much, it's like you've got to give that time. Like it's so depressing if you don't have that. Like you've got to value that someone is willing to stick by you through that. And they're living through that stress with you all the time. They're living through that those risks you're taking, but they're not necessarily getting the same buzz as you because it's like, well, they have other interests. Whereas you're going, man, I just locked this down. This is crazy. And you're like, shit, they've been through like 2 weeks of hell while I was structuring that deal or while I was on the phone working that out and going back and forth and back and forth. So yeah, it's really important to like separate your work and your leisure time and be really strict with it.
Yeah.
And work on yourself, work on your mental health. Like when I started doing that, everything gets better. Like everything gets better.
Yeah.
Like work on yourself, like meditate, like be careful of the stories you tell yourself. Like make sure you're pounding positivity in your ears through like affirmations. Yeah. Because we focus on negativity so much. And like I worked this out and I'll be really honest with you. 12 months ago, I was operating in a constant state of fear of loss. Fear of failure, fear of not making it to the point I want it. And that's what drove me, but that's a really toxic driver.
Yeah. Instead, if you can flip it into abundance, like you already have everything that you have. It's that perspective change, how you perceive a situation. Like if you're operating out of scarcity or abundance, fear or love, that is so important because the results will pay off dividends, whichever path you choose.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's very easy when you're in business to go, I want to go to this stage. I want this amount of money, or I want to get to here. And you're not focusing on anything you've done. So you're not really driving yourself in a positive way. You're like focusing on the negative rather than you might have 60 amazing things that happen that week, but you're focusing on, I'm not quite here yet. I'm not quite there yet. You've got to be really celebrate your wins. Like that's what I was told, like celebrate those, like you deserve to. There's this hustle culture that tells you not to. There's this hustle culture that says, keep driving, keep pounding, keep grinding. It doesn't work. There's no point grinding and pounding and doing all this non-stop work if it's not really productive work or it's not towards a positive goal or it's not, you're not working towards something and celebrating those wins. So it's really important.
I love that. Celebrate the small wins. So incredibly important because that then helps you progress and propels you forward. Couple questions left, Zane. I love the energy. I love this interview. I love how much, just energy you radiate into these conversations because you can see how passionate you are about everything that you do. Yeah. So your mindset, do you believe that mindset is trained, innate, or it's about who you surround yourself with, and it's those mentors that then shape your mindset. How did you get this relentless mindset where I can just see you're hungry and you're always going to just have this hungry attitude? Can people get taught that, or you were like, no, form with it?
So yeah, I think like when I have kids now, I'm so glad I haven't had kids yet, because the way I bring them up now will be really, it will be, not that I had a bad upbringing at all, I had an amazing upbringing, but I'm very, very hyper aware after doing this work, how it molds your brain, how it molds the way you think, the stories you tell yourself, the positivity, what you focus on, what you don't, all of that. So I think mindset is, you've got to train it. You train it like a muscle.
Yep.
Like your mind, and the way because naturally, like, I don't want to rag on education or school, but it really does box you in. And a lot of people's school experience defines them. If they were bullied in school, if they were told a certain set of stories, or if your teachers didn't believe in you, if you thought you were dumb or stupid or not smart, or you were too hypo, you start to, it's the stories you tell yourself. And I think you need to, everyone needs to train themselves to speak nicer to themselves. Like I would never have spoken to anyone else the way I used to speak to myself. That pressure, you're not working hard enough. Yeah. You're not grinding hard enough. You made a stupid mistake. Why would you do that? You're fucking smarter than that. Blah, blah, blah. You're gassing yourself all day.
Yeah.
So I think a really good book for people to read is Think and Grow Rich.
Amazing.
It talks about, you know how it talks, have you read that?
Yeah. Napoleon Hill, right?
Yeah. So it's all about those affirmations and the stories you tell yourself, and meditation and being really clear with your goals. But I think the thing we need to be really conscious of now is how you speak to yourself, the stories you tell yourself. Stop comparing yourself to others, and really, really stop comparing yourself to other people on Instagram and social media and stuff, when you know it's photoshopped and you know it's, people's highlight reel. Like you stop comparing your life to that. Stop looking at that and going, oh, I'm behind. I'm this, I'm not. That's what I get every day, Mel, in my DMs. Like, I don't feel like I'm achieving enough. I feel like I should be working harder. Everyone's so like comparing themselves that they're telling themselves they're in this negative loop. And I was in it. I bought into it. And the worst thing is, I was around all the people that spread that fake shit. I knew their lives were crap.
Yeah. But then somehow I feel like our brain always goes, oh, the grass is greener on the other side. The models that are in their bikini photos don't even look like that. There is so much that is not real about social media. Gives you 1.1 second of a 24-hour day, even on the stories, right?
Yep.
You can never truly know what is going on. So why not just focus on you, because you can control that? Why not compare yourself against you in the mirror and just be better than the person in the mirror every day? And
that's all that matters, right? Is being better than you were yesterday, constantly improving. We're put on this earth to learn and improve, and everyone's experience is completely different.
Yeah.
But you and I have aligned through liking the same things and being entrepreneurial, and you meet all these amazing inspirational people along the way, but our journeys are all different. And I think it's about being positive, like unnaturally drilling positivity into you. And I had to do that. Like, I sit here morning and night with affirmations in my ear through my phone.
Yes.
To train my brain. And ever since I've started doing that, it works. That shit works like magic.
Yes, because if you keep telling yourself one thing, eventually you will believe it. So, and it goes for both ways. So if you're constantly saying these negative thoughts to yourself, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm unsuccessful, what else do you think is going to happen? That's what's going to happen. But if you can manifest, like, I'm worthy, I'm great, I'm successful, I have abundance, all of those, it actually manifests out into that, because the language that you tell yourself, you and I know, because we're living it, is 100% critical. Your self-talk, what you say to yourself, transcends and becomes your reality.
Yep, it does. And people need to be really aware of that. That's how this universe is like a video game. Honestly, it's what you tell yourself and that energy you emanate. Those people, right? They're super negative and they just always have shit happen to them.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's got a mate in their group, and it's always the moper, and they have it's just annoying things that happen. you could park your cars together and their mirror gets kicked off.
Yeah.
And then they go out for dinner and their waiter drops the meal all over them. And it's an energy thing. And the more negative you are, the more negative things that happen. And from what I've heard from successful people and other work I've done, and it's you attract whatever you're thinking. If you're thinking negativity all the time, you get more negativity. If you're worried about becoming poor, you'll become poor. Like if you're worried about money, you'll find you'll never have enough money. But if you focus on how much money you have and the opportunities you have and all of the blessings for the day, it's weird. You just get more.
I love that.
Like,
I love
things
that.
just start working out. It's really weird. And hey, if you had told me that when I was 29, I'd be like, fuck, bullshit. What are you talking about? It's about how much work you do. It's about being efficient. It's about being, you know, putting more hours. Don't be a fucking wanker. You know, like stupid, just naive. That's what I was like. But when I started focusing on this stuff, you become a lot happier and you attract the right people into your life, and good things really do start happening. You have to obviously back it with work and back it with action.
You can't be naive to sit there and go, think positive thoughts, think positive thoughts, think positive thoughts. Nothing's going to happen. Like, that's not true either. You got to have the work ethic, but 100% it starts from the thought and then the action and then the execution. It's all aligned. And where I see you now is because you've applied these things in your mindset, not only is it coming to you in just business, obviously now your relationships are showing up better. Your friendships have shown up better. It's your physical health is showing up better. It's all holistic. It's all related. So people can't just go, yeah, but this is my business. It's like, do you want to be fulfilled in business or do you want to be fulfilled in life?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm telling you, it does affect your health, right? Last year, I was like drained, no energy, no nothing, living on like huge amounts of adrenaline. Like my body was just constantly operating. A doctor told me you're operating on the same amount of adrenaline all day long as someone if they're about to fight a lion, right? And what it does is it zaps you. So I had to get like vitamin C drips and spend like thousands of dollars on all of this stuff to build my health back up, because it was so taxing, like working those long days and working under that amount of like pressure, just constantly looking for the next thing and not stopping until you get it. So it's really important to have that balance, because it does it affects everything. And when your physical health is compromised, it makes you rethink everything.
And it doesn't matter how rich you are, because if you're dead, what good is that? You know, your health is so important.
Yeah. And that's what he said. He's like, you know, how far do you want to go? Like, how much is more money worth to you? You're going to be dead, man.
And the dangerous thing that I see, especially maybe amongst men more, because men are so driven in business, is numbers are infinite. You will always, there's not a physical number. Like, there's always going to be more money. So you got to find a place of identify what success is to you, identify what fulfillment looks like, and then be content and grateful for all of that. Because otherwise you're in this never ending rat race. I call it, you know, the hamster on the wheel. You're just going to keep running, because if it's money, well, you're never going to get enough of it.
Nope. No, you won't. And you can't define yourself by money and things as well, because I feel like with men, right, we all define ourselves by money, what cars we have, what, you know, it's always things. And trust me, I was like that.
Yeah.
I remember I was like that flat out. And the thing is, it's like, but if that's ever, like Kerwin Ray was saying, he's like, dude, if that's ever taken away from you, you're fucked. Like,
because you put your whole identity into these external statuses, right? And then once you really get it, once you've gone through that full circle, like what you're saying, then you go, it's the inner work. Like, it sounds like witchy or whatever when people don't get it. But the reality is it's all internal. It's just come up saying my connection's unstable. Are you good?
Oh, yeah, I've got you again.
Cool. So, okay, I've just got a couple questions left, Zane. Thank you so much for your time.
This is a good chat. I'm loving this.
I know, but I feel like you and me could just make a movie and it'll be like a 3-hour chat. So
I know, we could just have like a 5-hour podcast.
Exactly. Right? Even if it's just me and you having a good banter.
Yeah. So what do you think about the universe?
I know, it gets pretty deep. But so a couple things. One, what's next for Zane? What's next?
What's next? I tell you what's next. I'm going to enjoy life next.
Love it.
Like,
great
enjoy
answer.
like, and I know that sounds corny, but like, I just want to be. There's this thing. It's like everyone wants to live like joyfully and peacefully, and I just kind of want to enjoy life. Number one, so like, just be happy and appreciate things because I've lived so long, like putting so much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
And then second, there's a few different opportunities in business that I want to pursue as well.
Great.
And I will pursue those. And I've got some opportunities where we'll do some really, really cool stuff.
Cool.
So like in the tech space, tech for me is what like really excites me as well, because it's like infinite what you can do.
Amazing.
So I definitely want to focus on that, but I really do just want to somehow try and find a cool balance between like work life, what you achieve, but then just enjoying life and traveling more whenever this is over, when we can travel more, you know?
I love that. If anything 2020 has actually taught us, it is appreciating the things that we kind of took for granted. You know, once the hustle's all over, you're kind of like, oh, my family and friends are really important. Like making memories, life experiences. Like these are the things that matter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all of those things, and they really do matter, and they're so important. And like, I think this year, it's just forced all of us to slow down. Like, you can grind as hard as you want, but there's only so much you can achieve right now. It's not like, you know, you and I, we can't go into offices right now because, you know, you can't fly to Sydney and make that deal. You can't go to the Gold Coast and do that video shoot. And, you know, there's, it's forced us to sort of slow down and just rethink things and assess things. And you know what? It's like you realize that half the shit you run around doing like a crazy person, you didn't need to do it.
Yes, 100%.
Like you got Google running at like more efficiency right now with people working from home and rethinking how many offices they need. And, you know, do we need to be traveling into the city and working under an office to get results?
Definitely.
You know?
What's going to come out of this other side is going to be really, really interesting. I can't wait. I think there's going to be an abundance of opportunity and inventions and creativity, lots of new things. So instead of looking at all the negative of what we've lost, there's so much that we're going to gain from this new normal. I'm really excited about right now. Yes, it may be a shit time and you're listening to this going, fuck, well, I don't believe that, but don't lose hope. Don't lose hope, because this together will eventually end whenever that looks like, and it's going to blossom.
Yeah, it really will.
That. Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's been a really shit year and it's been hard for people. But I think this hard reset, you'll see so many people going, holy shit, you know, I worked that job for so long and put in so much effort and now I've lost it because of a fucking pandemic. And then they'll sit there and they're forced to sit at home and work out what they really want. And, you know, there's guys I know that have started getting into music now that never thought of getting into music because they lost their accounting job, you know. Yeah. And I can see that they're going to do really well with that. So I think there'll be a lot of blessings and it will get better.
Yes.
As if our generation is going to sit inside for longer than we have to. Like I'm about to go and riot right now.
Yeah, I love that. And it's that perspective. So where can people find you? People are obviously going to be hooked off this, love following your journey. Where are you most contactable? What platform do you use? Where can people find you?
So after taking a break from Instagram, Instagram's the best spot. Zane Marshall on Instagram, Emperor Apparel for the clothing brand. I'm going to actually be doing a lot more videos on YouTube as well. And that's just under Zane Marshall. But the best place now is, Instagram. I'm back on that. I took a break just to really focus on business and structure and my own like life structure.
Yeah.
But that's the best place. That's where I talk to everyone. That's where I post the most.
Yeah, perfect. Love it. And now this is the final question that I ask everyone. So the podcast is...
Oh, no, they're always the smart questions.
Nah, it's pretty simple. The podcast is called The Authentic Me. So what does authenticity mean to you?
I think it's being real, it's being vulnerable, it's being transparent, being honest, not flexing, just being true to yourself, like, and I think it's more important than ever that we're real. We tell people when we're feeling like shit. We tell people, you know, you celebrate when you're feeling good. I think we all need to stop being so fake, because I think it's going to be detrimental to the next generation, we need to, like, being authentic is being real, be vulnerable, be honest, share your stories, because everyone's story is really interesting.
Yes.
Like, don't be afraid to share your story. Don't be afraid to tell everyone how you're doing right now. Reach out to your friends, ask them how they're going, tell them how you're feeling, just be, I think we just need to be more real.
Yeah.
Like, stop photoshopping ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And there are influencers out there that are showing those bloopers and those, those blooper reels and Instagram versus reality. But I think we need more of it. We need more humanity. Yeah. It's still not enough, because for so long we've been conditioned in the society to have these unachievable magazine expectations of what life is. And then now, because we are so connected and, with technology, it's moved forward, be very conscious of what you're following and what you're consuming. Follow some real positive content, because that's going to make a huge difference in your life. If you're always following things that are just fake and superficial and surface level, you're only going to get so far.
Yeah, because remember, like, all of that social media and everything you do on your phone, it's all bandwidth. Like, it's an energy exchange, whether it's good or bad. Your phone, and this is coming from like Google executives, it's designed to fuel emotions, whether good, bad, whatever, just as long as it keeps you on that platform. So it's like really important to do with what you said. I agree with that. Follow the right people. Follow people that make you feel good when you watch it, that educate you, that make you better. If you'll notice it straight away. If you open up Instagram and you scroll and you get that unfollow, that person is no good for you. You don't align. So just unfollow it for a bit.
Yeah.
Do a cull and spend less time on social media.
Yeah.
And read more books, educate yourself, work on yourself, write out where you want to go in life, what's important to you.
I love that.
Because you can't hit it. What is it? You can't hit a target you can't see. Like, so many of us work blindly.
Yeah.
So write out what's important to you and where you want to go in life, and spend more time doing that. Like, I think we need to do that now.
Yeah. And there's no better time like now, being in lockdown, if you are in Melbourne, Victoria, but everywhere else seems to be flourishing. But there is no better time like now. Yeah. I think use this time for self-awareness and self-love. Zane, you are an absolute powerhouse. This episode was absolutely electric, and I'm so thankful and grateful for your time. I know how valuable it is when you run a million things and, you've got a girlfriend to look after, like, you've got so much on. So this is really, really, I don't take it for granted, and I appreciate you so much for your time.
No, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate getting to talk to you, and thank you for allowing me to come on and talk on your awesome podcast. And I know, I'm going to predict this right now. What date is it? 17th of August, 2020. I reckon in 2 years, you're going to get a Spotify deal.
Oh, this is a big call. I can't wait.
Should we write it down?
Fire. Yeah, this is it.
I reckon there's a Spotify deal coming. 20 million.
Yes. I'm going to say yes. Let's manifest that, Let's
get it going. Get it going.
Where your focus goes, energy flows, or is that?
Yeah, exactly. 20 million.
Exactly. Thanks so much, Zane. And I'll put everything in the show notes. I'll put Zane's Instagram handles and everything like that. And if you loved this episode, please just screenshot it, share it on your IG stories, tag both Zane Marshall and myself, so that more people can hear about this amazing journey and this amazing hustle, and also realizing what it actually takes, but not sacrificing the important things in life like love and relationships. Until next time, we'll see you later. This is Mel Yu on The Authentic Me. Thank you so much for joining us this week on The Authentic Me. If you found value in this episode, please smash that like button and share with someone who may also benefit from our content. Never miss an episode by subscribing to this podcast, available on all audio streaming platforms. And make sure to let me know what you want to hear more of on this journey to your truest, highest, authentic self. See you next time. Bye.